So I'm going to read this book to you about cheetahs. At the wildlife park, sitting peacefully by her trainer's side, Damara gazes across the grassy hillside, her sleek body reflecting the warm afternoon sunshine. Damara's keen ears, like those of all cheetahs, are alert to every sound, and her sharp eyes can detect even the slightest movement. A combination of keen senses and powerful muscles make the cheetah one of the most skilled hunters of the African plain. Damara is one of 9 cheetahs that live in the Wildlife Safari, an open-air animal park in southern Oregon. Unlike wild cheetahs, none of these animals will ever have to pursue wild game for a meal, which means hunt for some kind of meat for their dinner or lunch or breakfast. Instead, a regular diet of fresh meat is provided for them by their keepers. In the park, cheetahs, antelopes, and other animals roam freely across wooded grasslands. In many ways, the land resembles the African savanna that is the cheetah's natural home. The cheetah enclosure includes both open and wooded areas, rocks for climbing, a freshwater pond, and small shelters for rainy or cold weather. Except for not having to hunt for their food, the cheetahs live and behave much as they would in the wild. During the day, visitors drive through the park and watch the animals through the windows of their vehicles. Wow, look at that. Somebody's taking a picture out. You can see the mirror of their car right there. That's pretty close, huh, to that cheetah. An endangered species. Although cheetahs once lived in Africa and in India and other parts of Asia, today they are found only in limited areas of eastern and southern Africa, with fewer than 15,000 animals left in the wild. You read in another article that there were some in Iran, though, huh? This elegant large cat is one of the most endangered species. Hunting, disease, and the destruction of the cheetah's natural home have all played a part in reducing the world population. Cheetahs have never been numerous, and without protection and special care, they are in serious danger of becoming extinct. By studying cheetahs, both in the wild and in captivity at zoos and animal parks, we can learn more about them. We will be better able to help them to survive in the future. Wildlife Safari has one of the best programs for keeping and studying cheetahs in the world. Many of the cheetahs there have bred and produced young. Since the park opened in 1972, 97 baby cheetahs called cubs have been born. That's quite a few. In the wild, cheetah cubs have a less than 50% chance of survival. But at places like Wildlife Safari, the absence of predators, plenty of food, and expert medical care give every cub a good chance to become an adult. Most of the cheetah cubs born in the park have been raised by their mothers as they would be in the wild. However, when Damara was young, she needed special medical care and had to be hand-raised by the keepers in the park nursery. Later, she learned to obey commands and to interact with people. Oh my goodness, look. Looks like that whoever that is has a cheetah on a leash and is walking her around. Because Damara did not grow up with other cheetahs, she's not used to living with them, and they are not used to her. If Damara went into the main cheetah area, the other cheetahs would try and chase her away. Instead, Damara lives with her in her own enclosure near the main visitor center of the park. Her trainer often takes her out on her leash so that visitors can get to know her better. It would be dangerous to go near a wild cheetah, but because Damara is tame, people can get close to her. Even so, her trainers are always careful to make sure she does not get frightened or annoyed. Visiting a community center. Cheetahs are the easiest of the large cats to tame, and have been associated with people for over 4,000 years. Pictures of cheetahs are found in ancient Egyptian tombs, and for hundreds of years in India, Maharajas trained them to hunt. More recently, movie stars and royalty have kept them as pets. Since the United States passed the Endangered Species Act in 1974, however, it has been against the law for private citizens to have cheetahs as pets. Today, only zoos and wildlife parks can keep cheetahs in captivity, which means keep them in zoos and not in the wild. Most countries of the world have similar laws to protect wild animals in danger of extinction. One day, a keeper came to Damara's enclosure and put the cheetah on her leash. Because Damara gets along so well with people, she often accompanies the park staff when they make visits to schools and community centers. Holy cow, look at that, friends. Look how close that cheetah is to those kids. Damara helps to promote the cause of wildlife conservation, which is people trying to make sure that we make sure that the cheetahs don't become an extinct species, and to educate people about cheetahs. Everyone who meets Damara is impressed both by her friendliness and her beauty. During the staff's talk, Damara usually lies on a table where the audience can see her. Holy cow, look at those kids are petting her. She seems to enjoy being the center of attention and often purrs so loudly that people can hear her even in the back of the room. When the talk is finished, the audience is allowed to come close to Damara and pet her. Most people are surprised to discover that cheetah fur is not soft at all, but more like the texture of a coarse brush. It does look pretty soft, doesn't it? But they're saying it feels coarse. Like, I'm trying to think of something that's coarse, like a brush that you would use to wash dishes with. The cat family. The first cheetahs probably evolved about 20 million years ago in Africa, about 3.8 to 1.9 million years ago. There was a giant cheetah about the size of a modern lion. Cheetahs, like those alive today, first appeared about 200,000 years ago. Their scientific name is Acinonyx jubatus. Acinonyx jubatus. Like lions, leopards, and the common household cats, cheetahs are members of the cat family, or felids. They share many characteristics with other cats, but they also have their own special features. For instance, the shape of the cheetah is different from that of most other cats. The cheetah has a larger chest, a leaner body, and longer legs. Also, unlike most other cats, the cheetah cannot fully bring in its claws. So you know how cats can, it's called retract. Cats can bring out their claws or they can bring them back in so that they just have flat paws. Cheetahs can't fully take in their claws. The name cheetah is derived from the Hindu word cheetah, which means spotted one. The distinguishing marks of a cheetah are the long teardrop-shaped lines on each side of the nose. No two cheetahs have exactly the same pattern of spots, so these markings can be used to identify individual animals. Most of the keepers at wildlife safari can recognize individual cheetahs by their markings and their behavior, as well as by any unique feature they may have. Damara's special characteristic is an unusual kink in her tail. Like that of other cheetahs, Damara's coat is light tan or buff colored with black spots that measure from 1.5 to 2 inches. 3.8 centimeters. That gives the measurement in centimeters in the parentheses across. In between these marks are smaller, less distinct spots. There are no spots on the belly, which is white, and on the tail, the spots merge to form 4 to 6 dark rings. You can see the rings right here at the end of her tail, but it's kind of hard to see the smaller spots in between the spots. I guess here's a bigger one, and then there's a smaller one in between. Very cool looking. I don't really know. Maybe that the kink in her tail is right here, that little dip. There are no, I already read that. The tail ends in a bushy white tuft. Males and females. While the cheetah's tan fur is short, the fur of the black spots is slightly longer and softer. Along the back of the neck, the fur forms a small ruff or mane. You can see it right here, can't you? It's kind of a bit thicker. Sometimes this mane is larger in males. Although male cheetahs are often slightly bigger than females, it is difficult to tell males and females apart by appearance alone. An adult cheetah usually weighs between 100 and 140 pounds and stands about 3 feet tall at the shoulder. So the yardstick, the big, not the short ruler that's like this long, but the yardstick, it's probably as long as the stick that I use to point to the stuff on the whiteboard with. That's about how tall the cheetah is at its shoulder. And the tail is usually half as long as the total body length. This is a long book, isn't it? Keeping healthy. Each morning at Wildlife Safari, one of the keepers drives through the cheetah enclosure to check on the animals. The keeper locates each cheetah and takes note of any unusual behavior or if any animal appears to need medical care. If a cheetah does become sick, it is cared for by the park veterinarian. Although the cheetahs in the park are used to people, most of them do not like to be handled and hiss if a keeper gets too close. If they require medical treatments, the cheetahs are usually taken to the clinic where they are put to sleep before being looked at. Damara, not permanently put to sleep, but just like given a shot so that they get really sleepy so that the vet can look at them and try and figure out what's wrong with them. Damara, on the other hand, has always been handled and does not appear to mind when her keepers need to perform examinations such as checking her ears or her paws. We are going to skip this page. New cubs. Shortly before she is ready to give birth, a female cheetah finds a quiet hidden spot. This may be in the tall grass under a low tree, in thick underbrush, or behind a clump of rocks. There, while she lies on her side, the tiny cubs are born. A newborn cub weighs about less than a pound and is about 9 inches long from the nose to the base of the tail. Although cheetah cubs are blind and completely helpless at birth, just like cats, really, their eyes are closed when they're born. At about 5 to 10 days of age, their eyes open and they begin to crawl around the nest area. By the age of 3 weeks, the cubs can walk, and by 6 weeks, they can follow their mom. A cheetah mother calls to her cubs by making low bird-like chirping sounds. As in all mammals, a cheetah cub's first food is its mother's milk. The young cubs crowd together against their mother's belly, each searching for its own source for the milk. The cubs gain weight quickly and at 6 weeks weigh about 5 pounds. By 5 months, they weigh over 18 pounds. So it means they grow quickly. Unlike the fur of adult cheetahs, the fur of the newborn cubs is dark and the tiny spots are barely visible. Then, during the first few weeks of life, a thick coat called a mantle grows in, giving the cub a soft, furry appearance. Its dull, smoky gray color helps the young cheetah to blend into the shadows, and so acts as a camouflage. The fur of the mantle is about 3 inches long. By making the tiny cub look longer than it really is, the mantle may help to protect it from some predators. In the wild, cheetah cubs are often killed by lions, hyenas, and other large animals. Between the ages of 3 and 8 months, the mantle gradually falls out, revealing a coat underneath that is like that of an adult cheetah. The young cub's first teeth begin to appear at 2 weeks, and at 4 weeks they begin to eat meat. At first, their mother allows them to eat whatever she has killed, and later, when the cubs are about 7 months old, they begin to hunt with their mother. Adult teeth come in when the cubs are almost about a year old. At about 1 year, cheetah cubs are learning to hunt by themselves, and by 16 to 18 months of age, or about a year and a half, they are able to hunt by themselves. At about this time, their mother is ready to have some more cubs, and she lets them survive on their own. Litter mates, or the brothers and sisters, often stay together for a while after their mother leaves, and young cheetahs reach full growth and can have their own babies at about a year and a half of age. Hunting. This is a very long book. Like other cats, cheetahs are carnivores or meat eaters. Wild cheetahs eat a variety of small and medium-sized animals, ranging from birds and rabbits to ostriches and antelopes. This one is a gazelle here. The most common meal of the cheetah is in East Africa is a small antelope called Thompson's gazelle. Although a cheetah rarely climbs tall trees, it will often jump onto a low branch or a rock to get a better view of the plain when searching for its prey. A cheetah has really good eyesight and can spot a herd of gazelles from far, far away. Sometimes a cheetah hunts by stalking its prey, but often does not bother to conceal itself. A cheetah relies on its speed rather than its ability to surprise to conquer its prey. The gazelles watch the cheetah approach, but wait until it is a serious threat before they run. When the cheetah is within a few hundred yards of them, they run. The cheetah then selects one of the animals as its victim and tries to catch it. Springing on powerful legs, a hunting cheetah races across the African plain. Over short distances, no other animal can run as fast as the cheetah. From a dead stop, a cheetah can accelerate to 43 miles an hour in 2 seconds, and in short bursts, cheetahs have been known to reach speeds of 75 miles an hour. Every part of the cheetah's body helps it to run fast. Keeping its head steady, the cheetah fixes its sight on the prey. As its long legs reach out, sturdy claws grip the ground. Both the claws and the pads on the bottom of its feet keep the feet from sliding and help the cheetah to change its direction quickly. As the cheetah reaches full speed, its backbone bends and then extends, acting like a spring to propel the cheetah forward. Scientists think that the cheetah's long tail, which it holds straight out behind it, helps the animal to keep its balance while it runs quickly. Even though other animals may cross the cheetah's path, it follows only one. A gazelle is fast and can dodge expertly, but a cheetah is also extremely quick and can change its direction to match. As the cheetah reaches the gazelle's side, it uses its paw to knock the other animal down. Then the cheetah bites the animal in the throat to kill it. After killing a large animal, the cheetah usually drags it to a shady spot. There, the cheetah rests before beginning to eat its meal. Cheetahs tire easily and are often exhausted after killing an animal. Although they can run fast in short spurts, cheetahs do not have much endurance, so they can't run for long periods of time over long distances. Eating and drinking. In the wild, a cheetah mother needs to kill one animal a day to have enough food for herself and her cubs. A single animal usually hunts only every other day. To duplicate the wild cheetah's eating cycle, the cheetahs at wildlife safari are given 3 to 5 pounds of meat for 3 days in a row. On the 4th day, they're not fed. In addition to its regular diet, the cheetah is also fed a small piece of meat that has been coated with vitamins and minerals. A cheetah has well-developed canine teeth, the long, sharp teeth on each side of its mouth. These are ideally suited for piercing and tearing the meat. On the back of the mouth, the cheetah has flatter teeth called molars, which are used for grinding and cutting. Like other cats, the cheetah eats on the side of its mouth, pulling and tearing at raw chunks of meat. Cheetahs get most of the water they need from their meat, although they will go to a water hole or river when they need to drink. So that's something to keep in mind, right? That they might need to have some water available to them in their exhibit at the zoo. They can go 10 days or more without water. At Wildlife Safari, however, Damara has a bowl of water in her enclosure so she can drink whenever she gets thirsty. Resting. Since cheetahs rely on sight for hunting, they are more active in the day than at night. In warm weather, they move around most during the early morning and late afternoon when the temperatures are cooler. Even so, like most cats, cheetahs spend most of their time either asleep or at rest, getting up occasionally to stretch and change positions. Each of the cheetahs at Wildlife Safari seems to have his favorite place for napping. Usually they rest out in the open, although when it rains hard, they find places in the shelters. In hot weather, they sleep in the shade. When it's cold, they curl up into tight balls, and their fur helps them to keep warm. At Wildlife Safari, the cheetahs live outdoors year-round. Winters are mild near the Oregon coast and not much colder than the cool nights on the African plain. Grooming. Like other cats, cheetahs clean themselves regularly. A cheetah washes itself by licking its fur with its long, rough tongue to remove dirt, burrs, or loose fur. Occasionally, two cheetahs will lick each other to deal with itches along its back. A cheetah either rubs against a tree or rolls on the ground. Living alone. Cheetahs in the wild do not live in specific territories that they defend as much as other animals do, but they do tend to space themselves out on the plain. This helps to ensure that there will be enough food for everyone and provides a separate hunting area for each animal. Most wild cheetahs live alone. However, sometimes two or more single males meet and form a small group called a coalition. The group may stay together for a few days or permanently. At the park, two brothers from the same litter have stayed together all their lives. Aww. Wild cheetahs that hunt together tend to be healthier because they are more successful at killing prey and therefore get more food. Males in groups also tend to have more opportunities to have babies. Species survival plan. A cheetah has a good sense of smell. If it enters a new area and smells that other cheetahs have been there, it will leave. Cheetahs are not aggressive animals, and they do not usually fight with each other unless they have to. The main reason they fight is over a female. Females do not fight with each other, although they will defend their cubs against predators. If another animal threatens a cheetah, the cheetah will first growl and hiss at it, and then if the animal continues to approach, the cheetah will lunge at it and stamp its front feet. Cheetahs also growl at other animals, such as leopards or hyenas that try and steal their food. Cheetahs are known to live as long as 17 years. However, only some of these years are ones in which they can produce young. One of the most serious problems in trying to increase the numbers of cheetahs in the world is the fact that cheetahs are not able to produce enough cubs for the population to grow. In most species, individual animals vary somewhat from each other. They have slightly different fur color, body size, or physical abilities. Let's see. One of the problems very few animals grow to be strong, healthy adults, and as a result, not many babies are born. When breeding animals in captivity, it is important to make sure that that's not important. People in zoos and wildlife parks now keep records of all their cheetahs the cheetah's parents and their offspring. This information is used to help take care of the cheetahs. It is part of a larger program helping to make sure that cheetahs do not become extinct. The fastest animal on Earth. It is difficult to say how much longer cheetahs will be able to survive in the wild. Even though laws protect the cheetah, it is often hard for the governments to enforce them. In some places, cheetahs are still killed for their fur or when farmers feel that the animals are eating their livestock. Perhaps the most serious danger to cheetahs and to most other animals of the African plain is the shrinking of their homeland as more and more wildland is used for ranching and agriculture. Most of us will never have had the chance to see a cheetah in the wild, but getting to know animals like Damara and observing the cheetahs in zoos and wildlife parks, we can begin to appreciate the cheetah's unique and special qualities. Time is running out for the fastest animal on Earth. It is important that we do everything we can to preserve its existence. The end. You can listen to this book in a couple different times if it's too long. If you get tired of listening, you can take a break and listen at a different time. Because that was like 20.